In a forgotten desert town, there lived a man named Rahim, known not for his wisdom or wealth, but for a strange burden that had turned his life into a quiet tragedy. Whatever Rahim said would come true, but always in the most painful way. If he said, "The wind feels calm today," a sandstorm would destroy the crops by evening. If he praised a newborn, the child would fall sick. If he blessed someone's journey, they would meet danger on the road. People began to whisper in fear. "His tongue is cursed," they said. "Even his blessings bring pain." Rahim tried to stay silent, afraid of the power of his own voice. Eventually, he moved to the edge of the town, living alone among broken clay pots and wind-swept dunes, speaking to no one but God. Every night, he prayed in tears, "God, why have you made me like this? My words wound when my heart wishes only to heal. I wanted to bring comfort, but I became the shadow everyone fears." Years passed in silence. Rahim grew old and bitter, forgotten by the very people he once loved. One year, the desert suffered the worst drought in memory. Wells turned to dust, and even the date palms withered. The elders prayed, performed rituals, and dug deeper wells, but no water came. In despair, they remembered Rahim, the man whose words always brought the opposite of what he said. The town chief, trembling, approached his hut. "Rahim, please, we know you no longer speak, but our children are dying. If your curse can harm, maybe it can also help." Rahim's heart broke. He hadn't heard compassion in anyone's voice for years. That night, as he watched the sky empty and cruel, a wild thought entered his mind, one that terrified him. The next morning, Rahim walked to the town square for the first time in a decade. People stepped back in panic, but he raised his cracked voice and spoke. "This drought will never end. The heavens have turned their backs on us. The rivers will remain bones of dust, and we will die in thirst." The crowd gasped in horror. "He has spoken! We are doomed!" But Rahim went on, his voice trembling with both fear and faith. "No rain shall ever fall here again. Not a drop will bless this cursed land." And then he fell silent. Within moments, the wind shifted. A single cloud drifted from the horizon, then another. In an hour, thunder roared across the barren sky. Rain began to fall, softly at first, then in torrents that shook the earth. The people cried and danced in the storm, their pots overflowing with life again. But Rahim collapsed in the mud, sobbing as if his soul had split open. The old scholar of the town, a man named Idris, knelt beside him. "Rahim, my son, what have you done? How did you know?" Rahim whispered through tears, "Teacher, I finally understand my curse. It wasn't a punishment. God didn't give me the power to predict the future. He gave me the power to speak the opposite of what He intended to do. When I said there would be good weather, He sent storms to restore the land. When I said illness, He sent healing. For years I thought I was cursed, but I was only being used in reverse to remind people that God's mercy doesn't follow human logic." Idris' eyes widened. "So, you mean you were never cursed? You were chosen?" Rahim nodded slowly. "Yes, but I was too proud, too blind to see it. God had to break me to teach me humility." Rahim continued, his voice trembling with revelation. "Every so-called disaster my words brought had a hidden blessing. The floods renewed the wells. The sickness made people more compassionate to one another. My curse wasn't destruction, it was transformation." The old scholar smiled gently. "You see, my son, If you had been given the gift to speak only good things, you would have been praised like a saint. But through pain, you learned what true service is, not glory, but sacrifice. Rahim looked confused. Sacrifice? Idris nodded. Today, when you said those dreadful words about eternal drought, what did you feel? Fear, despair. I thought I was condemning everyone. And yet you spoke, not from pride, but from love. That is what made the heavens listen. Days later, the town overflowed with joy. People came to Rahim's humble hut, not with fear, but with gratitude. Forgive us, Rahim. We never saw your heart behind your silence. But Rahim shook his head. Don't thank me. I was not chosen because I was special. I was chosen because I was willing to be misunderstood. He looked around and said, God doesn't always work through the famous or the wise. Sometimes He works through the broken, because only broken vessels can let the light pass through. A young girl asked softly, But uncle, why did God give you such a painful gift? Rahim smiled and placed his hand on her head. Because, child, the world is full of people who speak beautifully but mean harm. God needed someone who would speak harshly but mean love. He taught me that what looks like punishment may be preparation, and what feels like rejection may be protection. Never measure divine work by your comfort. Sometimes the hardest roles are given to those who can bear misunderstanding without losing faith. From that day onward, whenever droughts or disasters came, the people turned to Rahim. He would declare the worst, and heaven would answer with the best. His story spread beyond the desert. Those who felt abandoned or cursed heard of the man whose pain became his purpose. If God could use Rahim, then maybe He can still use us. Years passed, and when Rahim grew very old, a traveler asked him, Do you ever wish you had lived an ordinary life? Rahim smiled, looking over the once barren land, now rich with life. For half my life, I believed God hated me, but now I see. He was writing His masterpiece with an ink I didn't understand. My curse was never a curse. It was God's secret way of making me His mirror. He looked up at the setting sun and said quietly, Sometimes God doesn't change your path because your path is the very tool He's using to change others. My pain became their rain. My burden became His bridge. So if you ever feel cursed, remember, perhaps it's not a curse at all, but your calling in disguise.